Resolved, the death penalty should be allowed in the United States. What would happen to the once father of 2 children and never came home, and the children finding out that their father ended up on the news as a victim of a murder? Would it not be any consolation to know that that murderer has been stopped and can't do anything else? Or would it just be some faded memory that they'll have embedded for the rest of their lives as the person who has killed their father and is now just living in custody instead of being brought to true justice? And even if a convict has killed somebody, they're either sentenced to a life sentence or they'll get out in a couple years, as in 20 or 40, at 60 maximum. And when they get out, there's nothing stopping them from killing another person. They're not restricted by anything else except the law, in which case they can just go and kill another person. And then they'll be sentenced either to the rest of their life or another couple of years. And it's not like they get off, and it's practically like they get off scot-free, since most of them, we always imagine prisons as being a dark place where people spend their lives and contemplate about what they've done, think about what they've done, regret every second of it. But in all honesty, that's not true. Most prisons aren't like these stone, cold, hard cells that we imagine. Instead, they're nicely furnished, some brightly lit, and they get modern luxuries like we do. They're not treated any different, which might seem nice, yeah, but let's say they've killed a couple people, they get to live their lives just somewhere else. Sure, they might regret it, but some people might not. I mean, we've all been brought up different ways, so we all just might not regret decisions that we've made. So what's to say that they won't? What else is to say that they don't ruin lives? They don't ruin families? They could ruin countless lives, countless families, and their children could be sent to orphanages. And it's still a problem. I mean, we've had problems like this before, and it's not like these people are just left alone. People are haunted by what has happened to their family members, friends, other people. And it's been common in news. Murders have been happening. It's not recent past, it's now.
My opponent may say that murderers can be released and kill again. I disagree with that statement because the death penalty does not make the world a safer place. Homicide rates are actually statistically higher in states that offer the death penalty, according to the Death Penalty Information Center. Obviously, extreme criminals cannot function in mainstream societies, but the capital punishment is not the answer. Instead, we need to sentence convicted capital murderers to life in prison without the possibility of parole. This will keep people safe, will keep violent people off the streets, and will be cheaper on the taxpayers. Therefore, there are other options to capital punishment other than releasing criminals into the streets.
Should we, the people, let innocent people die at the hand of the government? Or perhaps let criminals get the easy way out? Or perhaps even forget the Constitution? Because that is what we are doing when we let the death penalty be legal. According to many people, such as the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, the death penalty offends the 8th Amendment, which says there shall be no cruel or unusual punishments. When I think of the death penalty, I think of the electric chair and the lethal injections. Lethal injections are much like putting down a dog today. Do you think that we should treat people as dogs? I don't. I think that the Constitution, we made the Constitution to protect us, and I stay true to that. But now, since new technology, the government has been going over old cases of the death penalty, and more than 27 cases have been proven innocent. But they can't go back and change what happened to the person. And this is due to DNA testing and new technology such as analysis of fibers. And you should take into consideration that new technology fails us all the time, and that has been proven. Think about your phones today, an auto-correcting of words. Doesn't that fail you all the time? When you think of the death penalty, it lets horrible criminals get the easy way out. They get killed and that's done. But I believe that we should let them stay in prison and think about what they have done. And think about what they shouldn't have done. And if you think that you have to pay, or the government has to pay for inmates to be in jail, well, they don't. I know this for a fact because my dad has been in jail. And he has been in debt for a while, and he has to pay off his bills for being in jail. Therefore, if we let the death penalty be legal, it degrades our society. It shows that we don't want to punish people and make them regret it.
My opponent says that death penalty shouldn't be allowed in the United States because it's cruel and unusual. But we disagree because even though the 8th Amendment states that it's cruel and unusual to kill someone, in some circumstances it isn't. For example, if someone puts a bomb in a building, you're not just going to want to put them in jail, you're going to want to give them a death penalty. I can connect this to 9/11. 2,000 to 3,000 people died that day, so we can't just put them in jail because it will keep happening. If he did something cruel and unusual to thousands of people, why can't we just do it to one person to stop it? Therefore, death penalty should be allowed in the United States. My opponent says that people are treated like dogs, but they are just being put to death when the law broke it. They had time to think about what they did, so that's their mistake and it's their fault. Therefore, my opponent says therefore, we believe that death penalty should be allowed in the United States. My opponent also says that death penalty may be allowed. My opponent says that death penalty shouldn't be allowed in the United States because maybe the criminal might be innocent. Even though you can't take back killing that person, they were going to die anyway, so what's the big deal? Also, if maybe God chose that path for them, God all chooses a future for us, so maybe he chose that future for them.
Though my opponents may say we would be treating the inmates like dogs, they are leisured in jail, and that is not right if they have committed a crime. While in prison, a convict would be leisured while awaiting trial or after being convicted. Most inmates are eventually being released from jail. We pay the government and they pay the jails to feed, bed, and anything else for the jails. But why should they be leisured if they have committed a horrible crime? While some await for their jail sentence to be over, some are given the privileges to watch TV. Most prisons have basketball courts and a track. Some prisons get football, some prisons get softball, and some get both. There are prisons that allow inmates to draw, write, and listen to music when some of these inmates have committed a horrible crime against another person. The crimes that are known to be the worst are rape, torture, treason, kidnapping, murder, and larceny. Did you know that 43% of convicted inmates commit another crime within 3 years of the first one? According to NBC News, if most inmates are released and they commit another crime, why should they be able to get another chance to commit another one? This should be changed. Within crimes such as rape or murder, the death penalty would give the victim's family closing for what the criminal did. if more and more crimes are happening every day, if the inmate knows that he or she will just be in jail for a few years and be let out after being leisured, then why should they be leisured for something that they have done against another person, that a horrible crime has been?
My opponent may have said that a lot of the sentences, never mind, let me restart, okay? My opponent may have said that the people that go in jail can get out on it and go commit another crime. But a lot of the sentences, such as murder, are a life sentence, so they can never get out and they have to live and suffer what they have done for the rest of their life. My teammates and I have said that the death penalty should not be required in each state. The death penalty is cruel and unusual, and it violates the Bill of Rights. Also, innocent people in the situation can be killed and then later proven innocent because of the newfound DNA testing. And then the government just killed an innocent person that never did anything wrong and deserved that. The death penalty can also offer an easy way out because they don't have to live with the guilt of what they did for the rest of their lives. We would also like to point out that the death penalty is racist. According to Benjamin Todd and Martin O'Malley, the death penalty does not make Americans stronger or more secure as people, and it does not make our laws more just. One of the most jarring facts about our modern criminal justice system is that the defendants accused of murdering white victims are significantly more likely to face a death sentence than to those accused of killing non-white victims. What this is saying that if you kill a white person, you are more likely to get the death sentence. And if you're not white, you will probably be most likely to get the death sentence. And this isn't just for whites. It could be whatever race or ethnicity that the judge prefers. The death penalty is racist, and it goes against the Declaration, because it says in the Declaration that we hold these truths to be self-evident and that all men are created equal. And since 1976, people have been killed using these methods of lethal injections, electrocution, gas chamber, hanging, and a firing squad. Even though everyone around America knows how cruel these punishments are, we still allow this to happen to our citizens. And 35 out of 50 states still allow all of these punishments. My opponent stated that there are too many luxuries in prison. I disagree because jails are not set up to be pleasant places. They are set up as punishment. Most violent criminals are locked in single solitary cells for 22 hours a day and receive only one recreational hour a day. Any privileges you have heard of are typically offered for much lesser crimes. Therefore, I disagree that these prisoners get too many luxuries because it is simply not true.
My opponent may say that death penalty does not solve a crime, but we disagree because even though criminals would still be able to kill people afterwards, it still reduces the amount of deaths every day. Therefore, death penalty should be allowed in the United States. My opponent says that it costs more to give a criminal a death penalty than to just put them in jail and keep them alive. But we disagree because it actually takes less money to give them a death penalty than just to keep them alive. Also, with all these criminals in jail, it just costs the government tons of money and it makes our economy worse. Therefore, we believe that death penalty should be allowed in the United States. My opponent also says that it is racist, but we disagree because really, the government doesn't just kill one race. They kill many races every day. It's not just one. Therefore, we believe that death penalty should be allowed in the United States.